Oh, I think it's pretty clear. It's a battle of the scope now, and that's just how it is, you know.
I think there's a place for comps without Livescope.
What makes a great barra fisherman these days is sort of the question, you know.
And what about the people who who don't have that $10,000-$12,000?
That's major, isn't it? That's a big question. Okay, guys, today we're going to have a quick chat about the most recent event here at Lake Mondrian, which was the 2025 Xeric Barra Round 1 for the ABT. Personally, myself finished 7th with Kobe Pascoe and his mate Jake from the sunny coast taking the win. So good on them, and a big congratulations. Boys fished well, got a good bag. We're pretty consistent over the 2 nights. So thought we'd just sort of break down the comp a little bit and talk about the new technology, Livescope, and how it's impacting tournaments and whether it's a good or a bad thing. So
cool, mate. So should I hit you with a few questions? Really test your idea. So
hit me, mate. Hit me.
So you're running the Livescope setup at the front there?
I am, yep.
You've got it set up with your live and your perspective and your forward view on the same mount.
That's right, yep.
How do you think that went for you in the first
Oh, look, it's something I haven't been using the past year, so I just recently got the 2 LVS 34s put on the one pole with the double screens at the front, so something I really haven't got my head around, and I probably didn't utilise forward and perspective, the correct way and, the best way possible. I ran perspective majority of the time and just focus on that. That's what I found that I'm half decent at, and it's what I do sort of day to day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the top guys who took the win out in the sort of the podium.
Yep.
How'd they have their live set?
I don't know the boys too well, but I'm fairly confident they run between 18 and 22 metres, and running perspective only. I think they had a double pole and double screen set up there, so it obviously worked well for them having the 2 setups front and back.
Yeah, in hindsight, probably you would have done the same. You got the screen down at the back here at the moment, so.
Yeah, without a doubt, definitely. Sort of myself and Tom were at the front of the boat, taking a shot each. So probably should have got Tom down the back, and probably would have had a chance of getting a couple more bites. And if we were just to get another fish each session, we would have been right in the mix, top 5, no doubt.
Sort of just our comfort zone, is it, having the pole at the front and up there with the clients and stuff. Sort of, you never really utilise the back screen because with the client they can't really do it on their own, can they? So.
No, that's right. But when you've got capable anglers who are are good at live scope and pick their lure up, they know when to twitch or slow roll, whatever it is. It obviously works well. So yeah, definitely in hindsight, looking back, it's something I'll do for the next one for sure.
Yep. Do you think it's possible to win without it?
I'm sure it's definitely possible, mate. But when the dam's fishing as tough as it's been, every opportunity counts, every bite counts. So
yeah, it's certainly changed the comp scene, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm still fairly new to it. You've been sort of doing these, not so much the ABT. You did well last year. You got a 2nd place, but you've done a lot of the massive comps in recent years, just running side scan and done really well. Like last year, I think what you get in the massive comp 2nd as well, or
5th, 2nd in the ABT, but that was with live. So
yeah, that was with live.
So I went 3rd, 5th, and then got Livescope and came 2nd. So
yep.
Definitely made a difference for me.
Oh, I think it's pretty clear. It's a battle of the scope now, and that's just how it is. Home ground advantage doesn't really pay off too well if you're really good at scoping and your partner's all over it. It's pretty clear. Look, I think it was Kobe's 2nd time ever at Mondrian, and I think Jake said in the interview he's only ever fished the basin. So the boys are obviously really good at scoping, and they'll dial it in and make the most of every opportunity.
Yeah, once you sort of work the scope out, it's sort of only a couple of variables, and that's finding fish and then finding out what they're going to eat. So
yeah, exactly.
Any skilled anglers pretty capable of figuring those things out once they can find them.
Yeah.
Certainly in the competitions like the ABT, they sort of a lot of people share information. So these guys and the American guys are the same as well. They come over and absolutely quality live scopers. Probably have absolutely no clue about barramundi, especially the ones that haven't been here before.
Yep.
And they just come over because they're such good live scopers. They fish with someone who knows barra, and then they just clean it up. It's just how it's going to be, isn't it? They're
all over it. And I definitely felt the, sort of not the impact, but I definitely felt, I hadn't sort of been out in the water too much myself after dark, and wouldn't say lost, but I think I just, definitely going to make the effort the next sort of, 6 to 12 months, getting out in the water a little bit more on my own and trying different techniques. I was pretty just dialed into using sort of the same techniques that we use on charter day to day, which is super user friendly. They're really productive, and they can work really well, but maybe just having a few different, tools, would have possibly, made a big difference. Yep. Because I was, we use I'll show you what I typically, or what I ran all comp, which was the, I'm hooked up here. I'm hooked up.
He's on.
I ran the Jackal Squirrel 115 in the Wakasagi colour, so I pretty much ran that from 4 to 6:30 or 6:45. Once that light dropped, I stepped it up to our homemade wooden lures, which we've been using all year round, and I sort of just stuck to that. Not this exact one and not this exact colour, but you know, pretty similar. So it's a shallow diver. And you know, we just twitch the fish up to the water column, and you know, we've had some unbelievable sessions on it, and you know, consistently put clients onto fish. These are all done by Sammy here. He's been making wooden lures for quite a while, so really love them. And you know, the Jackal, great lure.
All right, time for the controversial question, mate. And we've all seen it, social media, YouTube, whatever. A lot of people hate Livescope. A lot of people don't think it should be used comps. What do you think, mate? Is it fair?
Oh, I think it's definitely fair, and you know, personally, I'm a big advocate for Livescope. I think it's such a great way of fishing, and it's super fun. You know, it's really engaging, and it's the whole reason we come out here is to have fun. So, you know, if we can, you know, if I can be engaged, you know, looking at a screen for half the session, well, so be it. You know, it still takes a lot of skill, you know, to obviously find the right technique on the day and get the bite, but you know, it sort of takes away, like I said earlier, home ground advantage and how to find fish. It's, you know, everyone's pretty cottoned on. Just go out into the deep after dark and you're going to find fish. You know, depending on your area, you're going to be on more fish than others, but it sort of gives everyone an opportunity to catch meter fish. Where you go back a few years, it was no doubt completely different.
And what about the people who, you know,
big tree falling down over there? Jesus.
And what about the people who, you know, don't have that $10,000 to $12,000 to install a Livescope, and then probably another $10,000 to $12,000 to put another one on the back to probably be competitive in the years to come?
That's major, isn't it? That's a big question. I don't have the answer to that. You know, it's just unfortunate.
Just the way it is, isn't it?
It is the way it is. You know, it's sort of like, you know, surfing. If you want to be a big wave surfer, you need to go buy a jet ski, don't you? So that's just.
My opinion, because like sort of I fished Mondrian for probably 6 years without Livescope, and did a few comps without it. And back then, and it's only been the last year or so that it's really kicked off. Back then it was sort of, you didn't know who was going to win. Like anyone could just turn up, find a spot, find the fish, and they catch them. There was only 1 or 2 guys who really knew how to use a Livescope really well. And they did really well, obviously, especially like sort of a couple of years ago. Before that, it was sort of just luck of the draw. I think there's a place for comps without Livescope. I think it would be, it's definitely a fair competition. I really used to like doing the competitions back in the day, sort of casting away. You know, you're sitting on a spot for 12 hours and just casting. You get bites, and it was sort of a more exhilarating thing. And you know, I love my Livescope, and I'll keep using my Livescope, but I definitely think there's a chance there to have sort of, you know, both options in competitions.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Like, you know, there's some blokes getting around out here with 10, 15, 20 years of barra experience, and, you know, someone that, you know, sort of been on the dam for 6 to 12 months, utilising Livescope, getting really good at Livescope, can go out, compete, and if not, beat these guys. And
9 times out of 10, they're going to beat them, you know. There's only so much you can do with side scan.
So what makes a great barra fisherman these days is sort of the question, you know. I still love it, you know. I've seen all these guys catch big donkeys on Livescope. It's unreal, but you are right. These guys with, you know, 10, 15, 20 years experience are probably scratching their heads going, bloody hell, this bloke's only been fishing for 12 months and he just outfished me 5 metres. So you're right, but, you know, it's hard to draw the line.
In some ways, it's turned it more into a sport. It's not like you're not going out and just fishing, you know, hoping to catch fish. It's sort of, you're there for days and days and days beforehand. You're leading up to a competition.
Finding the right technique that's going to work, the right
You're
lure.
dialing in your skills on the Livescope. It's not easy, and we've seen it with clients, like that takes them ages to pick it up. Certainly not easy, and you know, you just got to get good at it. It's like a sport. You just got to dial in, and the ones that do it the most are the ones that are the best at it. Yeah,
without a doubt. And like, I'll be completely honest, I sort of got stuck in the Mondi bubble a little bit. You're up here every day, and you think, you know, I'm all over this place. You know, I'm on the dam every single day, but you know,
and then a bloke from Rocky comes in to beat you.
Bloke from Rocky, who's a great angler, you know, and you know, there's the caliber of anglers in the ABT is super high, you know. So they're all great anglers, but it definitely takes away home ground advantage, you know, big time. So
completely.
It's
especially in the impoundments.
Definitely, 100%.
Where you can find consistent numbers of fish. I don't know how we'd necessarily go if we went and tried to fish the Fitzroy for the first day. And just trying to find fish wouldn't necessarily be that easy. But for an impoundment where they can just turn up and just shitloads of fish in the lake, so chances of finding at least a few, pretty good. And if you've got a live scoping, chances of catching fish is pretty good. Yeah,
no doubt there's a bunch of people pretty upset with the whole Livescope competitive scene, but there's a bunch of people absolutely, cheering, they're loving it. It makes it super competitive and it brings a bigger market in, I feel, to, have a crack at competitions.
It's a different dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And this weekend we got the Master Comp coming up. It's a 50 team event, which is absolutely insane.
Yep.
And I would dare say 40 of those boats have Livescope, and there's going to be a good 30 of those boats really good at Livescope. So it's really anyone's game, this competition. And rather than getting 5 fish a session, it's just your 5 biggest fish in 24 hours of fishing time. So
I think it brings the sort of the less skilled angles into the play a little bit. You get lucky, get a few big ones.
Anyone can win this one. So it's going to be interesting. I feel like you're going to sort of need definitely 3 fish over 110 and two other fish close to 110 to take out the comp, because everyone's going to be in the mix with 5 metres, no doubt.
Average of 110 probably does it.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, I think that's just the way it is. So it's either keep up or get left behind at the moment. And with the new technology, the new LVS is coming out. I'm sure in the next 12 to 24 months, you just got to keep upgrading. It's a bit like an iPhone. It's frustrating and it's super expensive, but if you love something, you're happy spending the money on it. And I know I certainly will be getting sucked in, mate. And more poles, more screens. Let's go. Like it's just too much fun not to.
Yeah, it's not going away, mate. So you got to move with the times.
Definitely. But anyway, I think that wraps up our little ABT talk, and be interested to see what others think about it. So drop a comment and let us know how you think about live scoping competitions. Should it stay? Should it go? And
there's no wrong answers. We're absolutely happy to see what everyone's got to say.
Yeah, definitely. And what are you a fan of? Are you Garmin? Are you jumping on the Hummingbird? And what do you think of Lowrance? So anyway, I think we're going to go for a flick anyway, mate. Go for a bit of a fish. We've left the live scope at home. Nah, we wouldn't do that, would we?
We're not going to look at it, mate.
We wouldn't do that. We'll be scoping hard for about 10 hours tonight, so let's have a good time.
All right.